Hello, and welcome to Money Freedom. My name is Sharon Case, and I am a financial planner and also a money coach for women. And I am your guest speaker today for today's 20-minute breakout session. Over 40 females have weekly educational teleseminars that range from fashion to finance to build your business, strengthen your spirituality, and endless other subjects that you can benefit from. Let's get going with today's session, and thank you all for listening in. We have a lot of ground to cover, and I'm going to talk to you about the 7 steps women can take to increase money confidence. But before I get going, I kind of wanted to share with you a recent study that really kind of hit me. It was conducted by Fidelity Investments, and it was printed in February. The study actually took place last October, and 1,500 women were surveyed ages 18 to 70. And the findings are kind of interesting. 92% of women want to learn more about financial planning, and 75% want to learn more about just basics of money and investing. Yet what concerned me was the finding that 80% of women hold back when talking about money. The studies show that women are more likely to talk about shopping, parenting issues, health issues, and even sex before they'll talk about money. And the reason for this is a lack of confidence and really just not knowing where to turn to for financial guidance. The passion in my work is to help deal with this issue, which I feel is very serious. And I work with women to help them have more confidence and help them feel more empowered so that they can deal with their finances in a proactive manner with confidence. And I'm going to help you start getting on that track today. So we're going to start with the next slide here. Got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to talk about setting goals, budgeting, emergency funds, insurance, investing, retirement planning, and estate planning. And guess what? These are the basics of what a financial plan consists of. This is a lot of information for me to cover in a short time. So I'm going to kind of speed over a few of these topics, but I want to give you a gift, and I want to help you after this program because I understand we cannot ask questions. I'm going to give you my email address at the end of the session, and I want you to know that any one of you can contact me, and I will offer a 15-minute free phone consultation to answer any questions you have from today's program, and also to share a couple of tools you might like to use. So let's start with the next slide. And I hope these slides are showing up okay for you. We're going to talk about goals. Goals are a very important part of any planning process, and they need to be what I consider SMART. And you've probably seen this before. You've seen the acronym SMART. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Your goals need to be written down, because if you don't write them down, you're probably not going to do them. And you need to prioritize your goals. I think of Stephen Covey and his 7 Steps of Highly Successful People, which is one of my favorite books. And he talks about beginning with the end in mind. Your goals will help you determine what your end point is, and then through many action plans that we create to help you meet those goals, you can get to those goals and have a really good chance of achieving them. Let me go to the next slide. Budgeting is the next step we're going to talk about, but first I kind of went to that slide a little too quickly. Before we get to talking about goals, and a budget might be one of your goals, know that there are 3 different levels of goals: short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Short-term goals are those goals that you want to reach within a year or 2. Medium-term goals are between like 3 to 9 years, and long-term goals are over 10 years, like retirement planning would be a good example. An example of a short-term goal might be, I want to have an emergency fund of $10,000 by July 2016. It's specific, it's measurable, it's relatively achievable, it's relevant, and it's time-oriented because I put a deadline by the time I want to reach that goal. I want you to think about a few goals you'd like to reach, maybe even one or two to start with, and I have a goal setting worksheet I can send to you after this call. If you're interested in having that, you can email me and I'll send it to you. I also have a budgeting worksheet to help you create a budget. What a budget does is it helps us know where our money goes every month. A lot of people I work with make a lot of money, but they don't know where that money's going. And if we can just find a little bit of money that maybe is going someplace that we really don't want it to go and save it for retirement or for an emergency fund, that's called pay yourself first. So when you create a budget, you really monitor what you're spending over the course of a month. And then you look back and you say, okay, I've got these fixed expenses, which are my utilities, my car payment, my mortgage, but then I've got discretionary expenses. And for me, I found that I spend too much money eating out sometimes. I love wine, so I was buying a little too much expensive wine, and I figured, okay, I can alter that expense and still budget for that to happen, but decrease the amount and put a little bit more money into my savings account. So we look at your income, and then we look at what you're spending. We look to see if there's a deficit or a surplus. If there's a surplus, yay, that's good. But then we can determine where we can find some dollars to put aside for savings and for helping you get to the goals you want to get to. And an emergency fund is something that's very important to have. I usually suggest 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expenses in an emergency fund. You never know when that car is going to have a problem, or you're going to need a new roof, or something's going to happen and you need some extra money. And it's just good practice to have an emergency fund to cover those expenses just in case. We talk about managing risk with insurance, and I'm not going to go into this in detail because there's a lot of information on the slide. But a good financial planner will help you review all of your insurance needs and make sure that you're appropriately taken care of. One thing I want to mention is to have a discussion about long-term care insurance. At least have a discussion. A lot of people don't want to discuss long-term care insurance because it's not a very fun topic to talk about. But if you're like me, I've got a dad with dementia. He's currently in a rehab center. Prior to that, he lived in the assisted living center, and he does not have long-term care insurance. Much to my demise, as I asked him to do that several years ago, but he didn't want to. But he's now having to spend on a significant amount of his assets to take care of himself with the situation he's in. Long-term care insurance does not have to be super expensive, and there are a variety of ways to get long-term care insurance. So do me a favor and please talk to someone about it, especially women, because we live longer, and 90% of us are going to at some point be alone because men don't live as long as we do, and we're going to need to take care of ourselves. The other thing to talk about is life insurance. If you have an old policy that's like a whole life insurance policy or a universal life insurance policy, and it hasn't been reviewed for 10 years or more, have somebody look at it, because there may be some holes in the policy that you may not be aware of, and you can fix that by upgrading to a new policy or a different type of insurance. So I just warn people about that too in the financial planning process. Okay. A technology person I am not. Okay, bear with me. Okay, now we're going to talk about investing. I don't like the slide so much. I want you to see that where it says speculating and saving. Change speculating to investing. I want to talk about investing versus saving. Investing is something that you do for a long term with your serious money. Investing is something you do with your serious money. It involves providing a way for your money to be exposed to various asset classes in what's called an asset allocation plan. So what the heck is an asset class? Let's pretend you're making soup, okay? Your ingredients would be the various asset classes. You have different types of stocks, long-term stocks, large cap stocks, mid cap stocks, and small cap stocks, and international stocks. And then you have a variety of bonds. You have treasuries, you have foreign bonds, you have corporate bonds, and you have municipal bonds. And then you have alternative investments, real estate, precious metals, and commodities. Those are all ingredients for your soup, for your investment plan. Some people will like their investment plan or their soup to be more spicy, and some will want a more bland version. So what happens here is we deal with talking about risk tolerance and the amount of time your money's invested to determine what your appropriate mix of asset classes is to meet your goals. Savings, on the other hand, is for short-term money. That's cash, CDs, and money markets. That's for your emergency fund. That's for the money that you might need very quickly. Your long-term money for retirement planning, long-term money for college savings does not need to be in cash and should not be in cash, because interest rates are so low that every year you keep money in cash, that's long-term money, you're actually losing money. People tell me, oh, Sharon, it's safe to have my money in cash. And I reply, well, inflation's just a hair under 2%. So you're getting 0% on your cash in the bank. Does a minus 2% return on your money sound safe? No, it doesn't. So just realize long-term money does need to have some exposure to stock. To determine the mixture of asset classes, to determine if you want spicy soup or more bland soup, is going to be determined by your risk tolerance. And generally, a financial planner will have you take a quiz or some kind of questionnaire to determine what your risk tolerance is. Do not be afraid of the stock market. The most conservative portfolios designed by most financial planners, the most conservative, have at least 25% of the money exposed to stocks. And usually it's large cap stocks that pay dividends, which tend to be less volatile. But the only way to keep pace over the inflation rate and get your money to grow so it's there for you when you need it is to have some exposure to stock. Okay, we want to talk about retirement planning a little bit here too. It's really, really important to be saving for retirement. And it's really important if you can save when you're really young. But if you haven't started saving yet and you're in your 40s or 50s, don't worry. It's not too late. Better to start late than never. When you have your money in a retirement account, the money is deferred from taxes. So you're not having to pay taxes on interest, dividends, and capital gains, which means your money grows faster at a compounding rate. Take full advantage of your 401k, or if it's a 403b, that's the same thing, at work, and find out what your employer matches. If there's a match, say 3%, contribute at least 3% because that's free money. Contribute to a traditional or a Roth IRA. What's the difference? A traditional IRA is an IRA where you put money in and it reduces your taxable income, and then it carries along through the years, and when the money comes out, it's 100% taxed. You also have to take money out of a traditional IRA when you are 70 and a half. A Roth IRA, the money goes in, it's already been taxed. You can't reduce your income by that amount of money. The money carries on through the years, tax deferred. When the money comes out at the other end, no taxes. Which is best? It depends. It'd be something a financial planner would help you evaluate. If you have a child who's working over the summer, open a Roth IRA for them because they can put money in a Roth and you can even contribute on their behalf. So that's something I've done for my kids, and it's worked out pretty well. You will have a 10% penalty if you take money out of either a Roth or a traditional IRA before the age of 59 and a half. Fundamentals of estate planning. Important to have a will and at least powers of attorney for health care and for property. Very, very important. I can't tell you how many people I meet that are in their 50s and 60s and don't have these things. And the problem is if you don't have these things, other people besides your family are going to make decisions for you. So do plan ahead. Talk to an attorney. It's not expensive. Get that taken care of. And what the will do is direct where your property will be distributed. It names the executor of your estate, and it can accomplish other estate planning goals such as minimizing taxes. It must be in writing, signed by you, and witnessed. And planning for incapacity, really important to consider having health care directives. If you are not able to make decisions for your health, if you are on a feeding tube and you are not alert, you need to have some kind of document that says, do you want aggressive measures taken for you or not? Not a fun thing to think about, just like long-term care insurance, but it's a reality. And it's something that you really want to address as part of your overall financial plan. There's a lot to consider, and I know I've gone through a lot of information. I want to help you, and I want to offer you my email address. It is Sharon, SHARON, at CASE, C-A-S-E, Wealth, W-E-A-L-T-H, management spelled out, .com. Sharon at casewealthmanagement.com. I will send you a budget worksheet. I will send you a worksheet to help you start setting your goals for your financial planning. And I will also answer your questions through a 15-minute complimentary session if you should so desire. I thank you so much for attending Money Freedom. Thanks for putting up with my little issues with the slides. And I wish you have a great weekend and take care. Bye-bye.